What's up, everybody? JC with Stoner Car Care. Today we have a special treat. You've seen the tips and tricks, you've seen the science and the making of, but today we have a special guest, the inventor of the Reach and Clean tool, Ken Post himself. Ken, let's get after it.
How you doing?
Doing well.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Let's learn how this thing works. For those who don't know, we've been working with Ken coming up on probably 20 years now. Yeah, it's a long time. So, Ken, tell us a little bit, go all the way back. How did you come up with this? What caused you to invent this tool?
You know, like they say about a lot of inventions, it's, necessity invention is the issue, the problem, right? So I was going through a car wash and you could see it had to be the right time. When you have that twilight, you could see the stuff coming through.
At low angle, the sun.
Just get the car washed.
Yep.
It's not clean, right? So you have that going through and it's like, I'm gonna finish the job. So I take the car home, get all the requisite things to clean with, and it's just like a minute and a half into it, it's already a problem. I don't want to do it.
Yep.
So it's like, I don't want to do it.
You're sweating, you're cursing, you're twisting your arm, right?
Exactly, all the stuff people do. And I just, I went on with my night, and then I woke up from like a nap, and I'm thinking to myself, there's got to be a better way.
Right.
And then I started thinking like a stick or something. The great thing about it, well, first of all, I'm going to give you a little bit of side history here.
Sure.
I can confidently say I invented this is absolutely the invention of the modern windshield cleaning tool, no doubt about it. However, when I went to go through the patent process, there was a patent that coincided with pretty much the first invention of the first car. Well, whoever invented the first car, like a Mercedes or whatever, that they had a windscreen or something, and they had right away, like, how are we going to clean this? So it's really funny because you go through all those years, and I think what it took was the manufacturing of plastics and microfiber, and it's just everything coincided, so it worked out great for me that I put all those pieces together. And plus the car design started to get more longer, not so much in the 60s and 70s, but right around the 80s, 90s.
Harder to reach, sharper angles, things like that.
The necessity came out more when I was doing that. So that was it. And then with the first iteration, the first concept was a TV antenna and a piece of cardboard.
Okay.
I come from a family of engineers, right?
Okay.
Real smart people. Me, not so much. I'm more of the black sheep. So I go to my dad, who was just retiring. All these patents in back of him. He's an engineer, right? Design engineer. So I go to him, I go, hey, check this out. I put it in front of him, he's like, no. Stick to whatever you're doing. This is nothing. I go, no, you got to use your imagination.
Yeah.
It pivots. It was an antenna with a ball point, a ball bearing, and it pivots. It can access. I was trying to get him to understand the vision, which is it's not much, but it's the idea of reach, access, that type of thing.
Yep.
And so it evolved from there. I went forward with it, and I think from the background of being exposed to engineers in my family, I come from a marketing background.
Yep.
I started to go a lot of, it was a combination of a really good design, but also it had to make sense. It had to be, designed for function. What am I talking about as far as these covers? What am I trying to do here? And right from the get-go, our first tool was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It got the job done. Couldn't extend it out, but it was a decent tool. And then it kind of went out from there, different iterations.
Yeah. So this has been with us now this has been with you for longer, but for Stoner, it's been for at least 15, going on 20 years. Yeah. It has taken me personally, back when I was in R&D, it's taken me around the world literally to help support this and make sure we're getting our costs right and making sure the factories are doing what they're told.
I don't think inventors understand that there's the product price promotion, but that what it takes, it's not just like, and I did it myself before you guys, but then obviously it's a huge help having you guys sourcing and doing it. It's not what people think.
But we've seen alone, just top of my head, at least 4 different kind of major revisions. So tell us a little bit about what you started with, after you got past the cardboard, prototype, when you got the first real tool. Tell us about how that's evolved from the first tool to what we're marketing and trying to get across to the consumers today.
That's a great question. It really is, because what inventors should do is always try to make it better. What can I do to make this better? And so my original concept was, first of all, you got a windshield which is concave, convex, depending on where you're cleaning it. And so I came up with this concept I want to make it flexible, but I I looked at like car haulers and the long haulers, and they're made with an arc.
Yeah.
And so you put the weight on there, it flattens it out.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to see them down the road. If they're unloaded, they're kind of
There's
blowing.
a reason for everything.
Yeah,
Engineers.
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So I came up with that concept, but I wanted to try and say, and by the way, once you patent something, you got to get it to market.
Right.
It's not a lot of inventors. What they'll do is they'll go, I'm going to design this thing until whatever.
Yeah.
You got to get it to market.
Yeah.
All right. So I did. So we got the first one to market, and it was a pretty good design. But I was not happy with the rigidity combination of the concave.
Sure.
And so we got it out there, and it was the access was perfect,
Yep.
or pretty good. The microfiber was pretty good, but the friction and pressure, which was there, had a sponge base to it. I saw some issues, so I started progressing with how I can make this cleaning head better.
Okay.
Which was led up till what we have now.
Yeah, so we went from the original head. We had some evolution with that, how flexible, how concave the head was.
Yeah.
More recently, we've had what we call tips down technology. Right. So tell us a little bit about how that changed that a little bit.
I wanted to go, another great question. I wanted to go away from arc, even though I like the idea of having a fixed structure so that you can start from, that you can always have that, because you're talking about plastic.
Yeah.
You're making it thin, so you worry about, that's another thing, you worry about molding.
Right.
All these things you don't think about, it's like it's going to warp, it's going to do this.
Yeah.
But I said, no, I have to make this next generation, the perfect head that I have now, it's got to be flat. The base middle has to be flat. I want to start at 0 as far as flexibility.
Yeah.
So then, once you start there, it's like, well, how am I going to account for the ends not coming up? And that's where I said, well, all the ends are going to tip out at a predetermined engineered angle down.
Yep.
So that was a better design. Up until that point, it was like really good, because now you got maximum flexibility. You have the tips that are built. The bend is built into it, so
Yep.
you don't have to worry about it coming up. It's just automatically built into it. So that was a great design. Now we have our FT2 design, FlexTech 2, which is an even better design, but it's a variation of that.
Gotcha.
Which is, at a strategic point, the entire head, the top and the bottom are bent at an angle, which now the middle's still straight, but you have the ends down.
Yep.
So with the slightest amount of pressure, you still have that flexibility.
Yep.
That's really the ultimate thing, and that's really the ultimate head right there.
Yeah, it's awesome to see how that's evolved to continually kind of refine this problem that and I've been able to travel with you over the years. It's one of these funny problems that you don't know about until somebody points out to you, because when you get on your demos and show people, whether we're out at SEMA, whether out at a local car show like around here in Pennsylvania in Carlisle, when you start doing that, something clicks in people's brains and they're like, I have that problem too. It's such a cool thing to see there. So kind of going on to the future, and now that we have, because of some of those evolutions and how patents change, there's a lot of competition out there.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit
I like to
how...
call them knockoffs.
Knockoff. That's a better way of saying it.
No, it's
A better way of saying it. What's some of the things you've been doing? I know you were traveling with some of the boys today, working with some pros. What are some of the tips and tricks that kind of illustrate why this is the standard for a glass cleaning tool?
Right. What a great word. I mean, I'll start with that word. The idea is to establish the standard.
Yep.
Like you got cars, high-end Mercedes, whatever, there's certain standards, right?
Yep.
And that's what this is. This is the gold standard of windshield cleaning tools.
Yep.
So we have that gold standard, and then it's not hard then to show, and I think whenever you're marketing a product, you not only not want to be afraid, you want to actually be proactive and say, what's the competition?
Yep.
Because there are other tools out there.
Sure.
So the tools are either have a fixed rigid design, they have no sponge base to it.
Yeah.
It's not difficult.
Right.
You could see what they did, which is say, and what's that thing about flattery about it's like making
Best compliment is
knocking off.
Yeah.
Flat, right.
What's that? What is that term? Thank you, Brett. Imitation is the best form of flattery.
We had everything except understanding what that code, right? But that is the imitation aspect. So what you see though is they're skipping corners, because it's not a bad thing to do when you're selling a product, is to keep costs down.
Sure.
But you want to have a balance of that, because if you don't get the result, then any price is not good.
Correct.
So that's why we have it where you have the most value I'll take a tool and say, here's why this tool is 5 times better, from the handle to the head to the microfiber to the result.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a great point. And we talked about it on the science of. We kind of dove into the engineering of this a little bit from our perspective, and what I kept hammering to everyone was access friction pressure, which I learned from you.
Right.
So if you're cutting corners and taking things out that takes one is the piece of that triangle out, it makes it useless.
You're not trying to establish or live up to a standard. You're just saying,
if you're reaching check mark and getting some friction on there, but the tool's cheap and bends when you put pressure, it's essentially useless.
you could break at the handle, or the other thing is, we made this head purposely the size of a hand, or big like this, because the other thing of these is that they go, okay, well, we have reach too, but the head's smaller. But you're not getting that friction out there, because the head's so small that it's just not able to, so you want to have that ratio of the head to the handle. There's a lot of thought into that, to where you go to make a move like across to the windshield, you want to make sure that that's absolutely going to get the job done. And again, they're just making a variation of what we have and throwing it out there to have something.
Absolutely. So I think one of the things that I probably violate the most is, I've seen you do this, is like the angle of attack.
Right.
That tips and tricks. So what can you show people from the man himself to make this job as easy as possible?
Great question. So for this, first of all, let's start with what people are doing anyway, because they're using all 3 of these things. Everybody is doing their form of access, friction, and pressure. Okay, so what they're doing is they're taking some kind of, this is a high-end microfiber, right? And they're responsible for doing everything. So access, where it's an easy thing. Wherever I have to get this everywhere. So, okay, and then friction and pressure, the problem is, when you clean by hand, the sheer act of holding it, you can't do it flat, it'll fly out of your hand. So the sheer act of holding it as you're cleaning is creating these crevices and gaps. Okay, so when it comes to this tool, I have to maintain 100% access, friction, and pressure all the time. The other thing is, what people do is, microfiber is a cleaning agent. It's a cleaning agent. Glass cleaner is a cleaning agent, okay? So, but a tool is how you're gonna get the job done. So depending on how much fluid you put on there, now if I'm like washing my glass, or it's really dirty, I could put more on. But just like waxing, the more you put on, the more you have to take off.
Absolutely.
So the other thing too is, you can pick up some fluid and then start the process. If you have to add more, you can. So 30 degrees or less, that's the key. And the reason is because of that sponge base. Okay? If you're more than 30 degrees, you're gonna have a hard time moving this with 2 arms.
It grabs. It's
grabs.
incredible.
We built the friction into you. I would say the analogy would be like, you ever try and push a power lawnmower? Good luck. You know what I mean? So people are so used to doing it themselves, they need to back off there. Let the tool do the work. It's still gripping, but I'm at 30 degrees. So when people see me whip this around, I'm just turning my wrist, but I'm always at 30 degrees. Okay? So it's that simple. And I have a little extension on this tool, so you can extend it out to any length. So there's no reason why I can't sit from the passenger seat and access every square inch of this windshield. And that's the key, is having the right angle. Even when I'm cleaning here, I'm at the right angle to reach it. You see what I mean? So that's basically it. Angle, access, friction, and pressure. The covers are reversible. Here's another patent aspect. A lot of the tools, our older tools, had elastic. Not only was it an extra cost, but it was like not necessary. It's just not necessary, and a lot of people would complain. So I don't like the elastic. I don't want to fumble with it. It looks round and that type of thing. So by having this, I call it as fast as now technology, it's the actual sponge is the attachment means. So it's incredibly fast, right? Plus
Absolutely.
Yeah,
the old wrestling match used to be, that the elastic wants to go back to nothing. To stretch it over the head, which once it was on was great, but getting on there was.
Why would you? By the time somebody's trying to put that on, I'm done. And I wanted that. So that was another. You're talking about evolution. That was another flaw in the design. We perfected that too. So.
Awesome. Well, if you guys watching have any thoughts, comments, observations, problems that you guys have, please put this in the comments. Ken looks at, I think, every single one of these comments about his tool. He's always learning, he's always gathering information and applying it to these kind of evolutions, and will respond to you, I promise.
Absolutely. And cleaning in direct sunlight, there's a difference between washing and cleaning.
Right.
Like, I'm going to do this real quick if you don't mind, okay? So we'll just do this right here. You can do this. It's okay to do this. So when people see me do that little, but you can sure do this, okay? A lot of people don't see me do that often, because the only reason I would have to do that is if my glass was filthy.
Really dirty.
Really dirty,
yep.
right? Now, if you're trying to clean off plasticizer, off-gassing of the plastic, on your windshield, or it's really filthy, the great thing about this tool is you can use another towel with it. You just click it right on. And so I call this washing. So the idea is I can take as much time as I want, as much glass cleaner as I need to use, and literally wash this glass. This is not finished. All I'm trying to do is get the bulk of this off.
Yep.
Once I've done that, I call it normalizing the glass. Okay, so now you go, okay, all that, 98% of that stuff is gone. Now all I'm going to do is just clean it.
Yep.
And that's where this comes in as far as cleaning. So cleaning is a process. It's not just cleaning, it's polishing.
Yep.
Because the friction and pressure allows you to take this fluid, and you're actually doing two things at once here. You're cleaning and polishing the glass to a bone dry finish. You cannot have a streak. It's impossible. It's impossible to have a streak if this is bone dry.
Yep.
A streak by definition is something left wet.
Right.
And that's how this tool, access friction and pressure, will ensure that result better than using your hand.
Absolutely. And that's why we immediately saw such a great connection with Invisible Glass and the Reach and Clean tool. You have the best glass and you have the best tool together, you're going to have the best results in your windshield.
It's the best system, it's the best brand, it's the best glass cleaning. This is the standard. Invisible Glass, the cleaner, the tool is the standard of the world. Gold standard. Yep.
Awesome. Well, Ken, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for driving down and hanging out with us today. Like I said, if you have comments or questions, Ken will be looking at them. Please leave them below on the video. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jeff.